Good morning. My name's Natalie Sanchez, as Wen mentioned, and I know a lot of you, so thank you for having us here this morning. I am one of the creators, producers, and writers of the telenovela series, but my daytime job is I'm the clinic administrator for their specialty services. So that includes our HIV services, our Hep C services, as well as our prevention services, which we recently implemented pre-exposure prophylaxis. And joining me today is...
Good morning, I'm Hilda Sandoval. I'm also from AltaMed, and I am also one of the creators and producers of the telenovela Sin Vergüenza.
Hello, good morning. My name is Ramon Garcia. I serve for this project as a creative director, but normally I am a marketing manager for the HIV services at AltaMed.
Okay. So today we're going to be talking about season 2 and how we're using telenovelas to ignite conversation in Latino communities. Who has watched season 1 of the telenovela? If you could raise your hand. That's awesome. So one, we want to thank LA County and our partners here as far as being able to watch it and share it. And what I like to say is that the telenovela has really been embraced and part of LA County's approach to reducing HIV shame and stigma in our communities. Here we go. Nope. Edit that, please. Okay, so our objectives today, we're going to be talking about, again, how we're using videos and, in this case, storytelling to educate the community about HIV awareness, HIV transmission, treatment, and prevention. So again, using storytelling of what we have seen throughout the years within our Latino community. The second component is the objective of dissemination. So once we have a product and we have video with educational content, how do we actually get it out into the community and share these messages? So Ramon will be talking a lot about our marketing strategy and disseminating the information. So about the organization, the producer organization. So we are not from Hollywood. We're not a producer. And that's something that we've recently kind of brought to our resume. But AltaMed is the largest federally qualified health center. So we're primarily a direct service provider in Los Angeles and Orange County. And we provide services to provide over 930,000 annual visits. And we have over 43 sites, of which 24 are primary care clinics. So AltaMed HIV Services and the division that I work for, so we have 5 HIV treatment sites. We're located through Los Angeles and Orange County. Our HIV services originated through substance use treatment, and we've expanded our services to include medical care, oral health, psychosocial services, and prevention services. And how did our telenovela come about? Our telenovela really came about through our 2009 implementation of opt-out testing. So AltaMed was one of the first FQHCs, or community health centers, to incorporate routine HIV testing using the CDC guidelines. And from that effort, what we realized was there was a huge amount of shame and stigma within our clients around just HIV testing. So we really felt the need to develop something that would educate and normalize HIV testing. So in the first season, you do see the message around the importance of routine HIV testing, especially in targeting persons who don't perceive themselves to be at risk. And we continue to do HIV targeted testing, and through our targeted testing efforts, we do over 5,000 HIV tests targeting Latino men who have sex with men. Through routine HIV testing, we continue to do over 30,000 HIV tests within our primary care clinics. And sadly, we diagnose 70 new positives per year throughout our system of care. So HIV in the US, so many of you are aware of the treatment cascade, and the reason I bring it up is not to, again, communicate what the treatment cascade is, because you guys are pretty well informed about what that is, but it's really to talk about how our telenovela is driving messages about this treatment cascade. And so, as I mentioned in season 1, we really focused on the first pillar, which was diagnosing individuals, so really emphasizing the importance of getting an HIV test. Our second series, second season was really focused about why don't people follow through and what are the challenges. And so we're used to delivering evidence-based interventions, so a lot of times we focus on targeted testing, individual level counseling, as well as group level interventions, those that are approved by the CDC. And so we really wanted to develop something that wasn't addressing the issues that we felt were contributing to people not being retained in care, people not following through with their prescription and having treatment adherence, and then as a result, not being virally suppressed. So about our series, so as I mentioned, it is tied to routine HIV testing, which led us to the writing and development of the telenovela in 2011. And in 2012, we released our first season of the telenovela series. The first season is a 4-episode series, and collectively with the second season is now a 7-episode telenovela series. And when I say telenovela, I think the assumption is that it's in Spanish, but this is a special project that was developed in both English and Spanish. So I'm not talking about just English subtitles or Spanish subtitles, but it's produced in both English and Spanish, and today you'll see the English version. In our series, we have a dedicated website, and all of the information about the project, as well as the episodes, are on svseries.com.
So in developing this project, we certainly understood that there were several components that needed to be incorporated. We needed to ensure that we addressed the disparities that existed in the Latino community as it pertained to HIV. We needed to make sure that we disseminated HIV preventive messages that were really appropriate to our community. And we needed to be innovative. We needed to do something that was non-traditional. We needed to do a project that really connected to our community, and telenovelas are really a fundamental piece of our culture. And so it was a really neat opportunity to engage members that normally don't get engaged in understanding that there's risk and connecting them to care, as well as just igniting the conversation of HIV in general. So the title Sin Vergüenza is translated into without shame. And as most of you or all of you know, that HIV has a significant amount of shame tied to it, and there's still a tremendous amount of stigma associated to HIV. And so we really thought that it was incredibly important to really put out what the premise of the project is really demystifying HIV, addressing the issues that come up, and really start to break down some of the stigma and shame that's associated to it. So let me introduce the Salazar family. So we have members of this family who represent members of our community who are HIV impacted. Each member's story really signifies a component of, or the stories that we've heard over the years in care. And so we really wanted to make sure that we had a really a wonderful representation of our community. So the mother, her name is Adriana. Adriana in season 1 questions the fidelity of her husband, and at one point she starts to really struggle to address these questions that she may have about her husband's fidelity. And so unfortunately that led to her being at risk. And when she went in for testing, when she went to the clinic because she was feeling ill, she did get tested for HIV, and that is when she found out that she was HIV positive and pregnant. So we end season 1 with really understanding and underscoring the importance of women talking about HIV, or at least addressing questions that they may have in their relationship. Cesar is the husband of Adriana, and Cesar has these very interesting relationships with his family. He is very close to his family, but with his openly gay son, he definitely dismisses his relationship with his partner. He certainly is very homophobic in season 1, And at the end of season 1, we certainly address the underlying reasons as to why he's homophobic. So we want to really address his internal shame that's going on because of his own sexual identity. So we present it in a way in which we want to make sure that we present how a member of our community is looking at sexual identity or just sexuality as a whole, and then also address the underlying messages or the underlying struggle that he's having. In season 1, we end with him finding out that his wife was both positive and pregnant. So needless to say, he's carrying a huge burden on him. The son, Enrique, he is openly gay son. He is the one that actually discovers that his father has a separate life. And so it was very important for us to showcase a young gay-identified man really being the individual who's going to address some of the challenges that he sees in his own family and how it was affecting him, how his father's lack of acceptance and struggle with his sexuality was really affecting him as a person in the family. And so Enrique is the one who knows his father's secret at the end of season 1. And he also is a huge support for his father and his mother. And then we have Cristina. Cristina is a young heterosexual daughter who starts to hear the messaging in her family. She starts to understand that there are just certain generational issues that are taking place that that many times we either are concerned about, but we have struggle in addressing them. But at the same time, we want to do something. So Cristina in season 1 hears her mother's concern and her mother's plight as she's sharing with her mother, and wants to do something about it. So she puts a condom in her father's jacket in hopes of him acknowledging that there is some risk going on to her mother, and she wants to do something about it. But it certainly underlines how difficult these topics are. And then finally, we have the grandmother. The grandmother we introduced in season 1 as a key figure in the family. We highlight the fact that family is a significant element to our Latino community, but at the same time, we have some transgenerational issues. We introduce sexuality. We actually sexual practices for her. She starts going out after being out of a relationship for many years, and she doesn't realize that there's risk. And so the grandmother's role is also really significant for us because we do have seniors who are coming into care who are diagnosed at late stages. And so we wanted to make sure that people understand that HIV does not discriminate based on age, and that we wanted to make sure that it had a voice for all members. So in season 1, as Natalie mentioned, it addresses routine HIV testing. It addresses the benefits of testing everyone who may not necessarily suspect that they're at risk. And it normalizes HIV testing. And then it really highlights the significance behind diagnosing at early stages in HIV and not waiting till someone is hospitalized. Certainly for Latinos, for our community, we understand that there are many contributors of risk, and so we really wanted to incorporate some themes within the story. We wanted to ensure that we address the stigma and shame still associated to homosexuality and HIV. We wanted to address the pervasive misconceptions of HIV that exist in our community. And we wanted to address the internalized homophobia, so much as I mentioned with Cesar, but just as a whole, as a community, on how we continue to struggle with these themes. And we also wanted to highlight the transgenerational patterns, hence the grandmother, the mother, and the daughter all really trying to figure out where their voice is in this family, and really the lack of proactive discussion on HIV-related issues, on sexuality, on sexual behaviors, and just really addressing it, that it needs to happen amongst all age groups. And so with that, I will ask that season 2 be showcased. So we will show all 3 episodes of season 2, and then we'll have a quick summary and questions and answers at the end. Thank you.